Hello and welcome back.
Uh, Yeah. Yep. Welcome back, everybody. Or are you welcoming us back? Are we welcoming Chris back? Because
All,
that seems appropriate.
yeah, maybe it's a little bit of all of that.
Yeah. Everybody's welcome back.
Yeah.
So much welcome.
And do you just feel the welcome? Just
There's
you just feel it?
I feel many much welcome.
You feel many much welcome.
I do.
Um, obviously we're Chiefs fans before we were cool, but I have a feeling that every Chiefs fan going to the game this weekend is going to be very cool.
Oh,
I think you mean cold.
but
Oh yeah, yeah. Cold, that's the word I was looking for.
yeah, I don't know I mean, I guess, up north a little bit. Ohio's pretty cold. Iowa's really cold. It's like, oh yeah, it's just cool. No, I think no matter where you're from, it's cold. It'll be
Yeah,
cold in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
yeah. I think I read coldest NFL game ever played so far.
Really?
Yeah,
I'd
Potentially.
read like third or something, or
okay.
heard third. But we'll see. I mean, obviously it hasn't happened yet, so we
That's
still don't know.
true. That's true. Well, should we jump into some memes?
100%.
Some memes.
Chris, you want to read the memes for us?
Is there a meme for jumping into memes?
There's
I'm
going to be one
sure
next week now.
I'm sure there's is somewhere. Someone's thought of it. Okay, yeah, I can read them. All right. Chris Jones comes to the podium with a name tag sticker over a certain logo and Adidas in the namespace.
Okay, so this is not so much a meme, but it's just a really funny Chris Jones thing. If you don't know this, NFL players will get fined if they have like branded logos that are visible during their interviews.
Oh,
And so he wore a Chiefs facility name tag thing over his Adidas logo on his shirt, but then in the name section he wrote Adidas.
oh, that's clever.
I think he's still probably going to get fined for that. I don't know, but I was like, that
Hey,
is,
hey, represent, I guess. Maybe he'll
yeah,
get more from Adidas than he'll get fined.
yeah, yeah.
Good
You know,
chance.
he's playing chess, and everyone else was playing checkers. So
All
Uh,
right. Which team season was ended twice by the Kansas City Chiefs in 2023? What are the Cincinnati Bengals? That is correct. Ooh. That's a
that,
pretty good one. I like that one. Yeah.
yeah,
that's a little. I bet that stings a little bit.
they can just
Well,
go
I mean,
eat their
that's
chili.
that's kind of the name of our podcast. It should stop being Chiefs fans before we're cool and start being the Cincinnati Bengals are the worst.
Yeah, that's the subtitle. That's the subtitle.
Bengals haters before we were cool.
Yeah.
Preview of Dolphin sideline versus at Arrowhead. Yeah, no joke. I mean, not just the Dolphin sideline. I mean, they're talking about how cold it's going to be for all the players from the Dolphins, which is true, but it's gonna suck to be a Chiefs player too. Just because
Yeah.
I'm from Kansas doesn't mean I like the cold.
Yeah. It obviously, you don't try to take these things too much at face value, but the Dolphins have a pretty bad record in cold weather, which you understand, right? Like at the same time, playing there, if you're used to playing in colder weather would be hard, but
It's true.
so
Right. Not very. Yeah. I don't. One thing I was wondering, I was like, it's an evening game. I'm. It feels like there's all these mechanisms they can have to like choose when the game is, or stuff like. It's like, do they ever think about the forecast at all? Like, do they ever
yeah.
think about
Well, and
like,
I
can it be changed or something? Like, because I don't know. It's not sound like fun
And
to
I
me.
wonder if the time is based more on the contracts they've given for the broadcasting because the evening games are the more prime time games.
Right.
Um, but we already happen to have Peacock, so we're good to go.
Yeah, I do as well. Although we have some stuff going on, so we'll see. Hopefully, I won't get too distracted. Or no, too distracted. Yeah. Hopefully, I'll be able to focus on the game.
Hopefully, all
But
your
I do have Peacock,
live
although
stuff.
that is something that people are
Yeah.
pretty mad about.
Which I
And
want to say it's probably passed already, but Omenahu was giving out subscriptions like 3-day subscriptions. He gave out like 80 of them to fans to watch the game,
That's pretty
which
cool.
is pretty cool. Where's my Chick-fil-A though?
I got
Oh, Arby's.
it's Arby's. Not a sponsor yet.
Yeah. All right.
Product placement, I like it.
Yeah. Eric, just try not to let too much of your normal life, like normal
Well, you know
life
what I'm
stuff, get
representing.
into the game.
Lives. You're not even from here. I guess
Doesn't
you're from
matter.
here.
Doesn't matter. It's still my favorite coffee shop.
There you go.
So, from a distance.
Honestly, you probably have gone there as much as I have. Because every time you're here, you go multiple times, and I like rarely go there if you're not here.
That's right. That's right. Don't be a hater. He hates us because he ain't us.
All right, let's jump on to the next meme.
AFC East, with the Dolphins reaching for it, and the Bills holding him back. Yeah. Man, I wish the Dolphins would have won that. I would have much rather played the Steelers.
Yeah, although if we're playing the same Dolphins team that was playing the Bills, like if they play like they played on Sunday, I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I mean you're still
I mean the
still want
Steelers, especially
Any
Steelers without TJ Watt.
Yeah, without TJ Watt struggling. I mean they're a tough team, but it just feels like a team that's going to be tough, but like not likely to win. You know, like
Yeah.
I could see them. The Bills could easily just destroy them, but like the Steelers are that kind of team that's going to play gritty and hard. And
I'm rooting for the Steelers
without TJ Watt and other things. But
I'm rooting for the Steelers on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean that would pretty insane. The start of us potentially having an Arrowhead Invitational again.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be amazing? We could end up with a 3rd seed and we still host the game. It's pretty unlikely, but
I feel like the Browns have as good as a shot of anybody beating the Ravens just because division teams tend to play, and the Browns have beaten them earlier this year. So anyway,
there's a chance. There's always a chance.
No.
All right, yeah. Last one.
Chris Jones.
I like the last one.
Just got his. What? Oh, you want to read it? Fine, you can read it. I'll let you do it.
Yeah, Chris Jones just got a 1.25 million bonus with a sack, marking his 10-point sacks this season. I think my favorite was that they marked his run at like 16 point something miles per hour off the field. Like that big of a guy.
I think the celebration was crazy.
It was his 2nd highest recorded speed ever, like in recorded NFL. His 2nd highest recorded speed was running the sideline after he got that sack.
Too good. Too good. Honestly, I feel like we should have given him the bonus, but I can kind of understand after negotiations probably felt pretty salty. I don't think either side walked away from him being very happy in the year. You know, not having him for all training camp for a game, stuff like that. That's fine. So like they should have probably done what like the Browns did with Flacco or something and just given him the bonus. But it's also was a kind of cool moment.
If they might have if he didn't get it, but I think letting him play to get it too was nice.
Right. And maybe he really wanted to. Like he's like, no, I'm gonna get it on my own. Like I want to play.
Yeah.
Like I'm that good and whatnot. Like that's kind of cool too. So it was a really sweet moment though. The whole Chiefs get to celebrate with him, and obviously he was going for that milestone. In that game.
Yeah. Not a lot. You know, I didn't get to watch the game. I saw some highlights. Pretty exciting defensive play. Happen, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the 97-yard return, which is a big deal. I was looking at some stats for the game. The Chargers actually out yardaged us by a pretty big margin, 353 to 268. I think the main things we might pull from it was the I I mean, McCole Hardman is probably the main person, at least on offense. He did pretty well. It was probably a mixed bag, but
Yeah.
11 targets, 6 catches, 77 yards. Maybe he factors in more in the postseason.
Yeah.
Probably needed that game just after, obviously not being with the team in the first half of the season and then being injured. So hopefully we'll be able to use him a little bit, at least in the red zone.
Interesting stat for you to know. That 97-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown was the longest of the season. Do you know what the second longest fumble recovery for a touchdown was this season?
96 yards.
It was like 50 something, maybe 56. But the reason I pointed
Wow.
out was that was the one that
Hill dropped?
Edwards, yeah, that Edwards got in the lateral after Hill fumbled and picked up. So
Nice.
yeah.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Good job, Chiefs defense, when none of our starters are playing. Well, defense, we had a few more starters, but
Yeah.
not very many starters playing. Yeah. So it was kind of a meaningless game. We had a couple injuries, like offensive line. I was not good. Specifically Wanye Morris. So
Yeah, hopefully Smith is playing. I know he's on track to play without setbacks, but we'll see.
right. So hopefully, Smith's able to play and take up that left tackle, so we don't have to do something goofy with that like we did in that game.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I have much to say about the game. Like you said, it happened and we won, so it's always
Yeah.
fun.
It was good.
It's
Good
always-
to win.
I
It's always
like
good to make the Chargers feel a little more embarrassed about
Yep.
themselves.
And I like that when the NFL made that change a few years ago to make week 18 always a division game, because I feel like more often than not it still has meaning for most teams. But even in a game where you're not playing your starters, beating a division rival is always satisfying.
That works pretty well for us with our division right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Locked it up. Locked off the AFC. It was good, and it could. That's the biggest thing is something close to a bye for Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes and
Yeah.
some of the players. Like that's a big deal as I start thinking towards Miami. The only other
Yeah.
thing I would say about the game too is how do you feel about Travis Kelce setting out? Maybe a little bittersweet.
Yeah.
Not care much.
What I heard was he made the decision basically because he thought it would come across as selfish to do, because like Jones played because he had a financial incentive to play, whereas Kelsey's just going for a stat, and so he decided not to play, which I respect. I mean, obviously you feel like having that what would that have been for him? 8 consecutive, I think, 1,000-yard receiving, which for the tight end position, I'm pretty sure is completely unheard of. Even for a lot of wide receivers, but being healthy for the playoffs matters more. Especially considering
Yeah.
it's a Saturday game, so it's 6 days instead of 7.
Yeah, he talked about the podcast on him and Jason's podcast, how he just didn't really feel good about it as he thought about it during the week. And it's just, he thought about, going out there, and it's harder to get, yards than we might think, And every time he's out there on the play, that they're going to watch him extra close because they know what's going on. Like that's the plan.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It makes sense. And also it's not like he was beating anyone's record. Like he already has the record. He's just continued to set it like every year he beats his own record. So I don't know. I think I respect him more for not doing it. Like I think it would have been fine either way, but it shows
Yeah.
that he's got the mentality of we're going for Super Bowls, we're not chasing stats. So
Yeah. Going for those rings,
going for them rings.
He's got to
That
get a
Taylor
ring.
Swift wedding ring.
Yeah, he's got to get a ring to propose to Taylor with.
There you
So-
go. Wouldn't that be interesting? Proposing to your girlfriend with a Super Bowl ring?
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
something. That would be
It probably has more diamonds than most people's rings. So
yeah.
it's also way too big to wear practically.
Yeah, it's true. You'd have to get it
big.
resized like
Yeah.
smaller.
Yeah.
A tiny Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
I
Um,
like that idea now. Travis, make it happen.
make
Do
it
it.
You know you
happen.
watch our podcast.
I mean, hey, we don't know what Taylor's ring size is. It might be the same as Travis's. We don't know for
You're
sure.
right. Sorry, that was probably a pretty sexist remark, right?
Yeah, it was.
I was just
How
talking
dare you
about
assume she's
the amount
smaller
of, have you
than
seen though when they
Travis.
wear them, the amount of their hand that it covers up?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like
Yeah.
it's like you could wear like two of them really practically. But
That's right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that rolls.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of cool. He's
Yeah.
like, but that's because that's all he's gonna have to offer. Like, she's gonna have all the money and fame.
yeah,
That's terrible to say. He's a person with other characteristics that are more important, probably.
yeah.
But
Well,
that
neither of them are hurting financially, so
neither of them are hurting
No.
financially.
You
But
know-
if
you know
one
what?
of them is considered hurting financially, it wouldn't be Taylor Swift.
true.
I saw someone else talking about Taylor Swift buying an NFL team. So we weren't the first ones to bring it up. We were the first ones to think of that. They were talking about, like, it was like a financial thing, and they're talking about if it would be smart for her to buy an NFL team. And it was
Yeah,
like,
their
no,
values
no,
go
it
up.
wouldn't be.
Crazy. Buy Travis's team
There you go.
Or hear me out.
and then pay him.
But yeah, I like that idea the best. But here's the second idea. Hear me out. Buy a certain team in Ohio and then tank the team. Just an idea. An
Oh
idea.
man.
After all the rivalry
Like,
with it, she buys the Bengals just to sabotage them.
she's like, I want you to pay Jamar Chase $2.
Oh man.
That would be the ultimate girlfriend move, right? Good job.
She buys the team and renames them the Cincinnati Jabronis.
Oh man.
Okay.
We really might have to change our name.
Yeah, I'll move
Awesome.
on. I'll let this go for a little bit.
Let it go.
Oh, not sponsored yet.
Not sponsored yet. Still not sponsored.
All right, I have a few questions.
All right.
Or I have a few wonders, a few brotherly wonders, as it were. Who do you think is the best wild card team?
Kansas City Chiefs.
We're not a
Oh
wild
wait, we're
card
not wild
team.
card. Sorry. Like you mean like yeah, wild card.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Miami Dolphins were healthy, I think they would be up there. Like
Mhm.
that's the big
Yeah.
problem with them for sure.
If you're basing it solely off of how teams are playing right now, I think the Browns are one of those.
Yeah. Joe Flacco's but he has so many turnovers. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
but the defense is elite. So
That's yeah.
that's a tricky thing. I like the Rams a little bit. Like, I could see them going on a pretty big run again.
Is Cooper Kupp healthy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they're all healthy
Yeah.
now. So
And you gotta feel like Stafford is motivated.
their defense is a little hit or miss, and their offense is obviously kind of really based on. Well, I mean, their offense has been pretty balanced. So
Their offense has
but
been
their
pretty
defense
good.
is pretty hit or miss. What?
Yeah, their defense is like 20 something in pass defense. They're pretty bad. Like, so I think that makes it hard for them to go on a deep run.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a passing league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably think the Browns, like you said, maybe the most potential would be like the Eagles or the Dolphins, but
Yeah.
they're just not playing the best right now.
Yeah. It's like the Eagles at their best. I feel like could beat anybody in the NFC, but they're definitely not playing their best right now.
Well, I think I'd have more confidence in the Eagles than the Dolphins just because of health. Like the
Mhm.
Eagles, it's about getting together and performing well, kind of like the Chiefs, and both of them hypothetically could just come together like, hey, let's get ready. We're
Yeah.
postseason, have a little boost in that way. But
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. When the
Um,
Rams get to the Super Bowl, then you'll all be thinking, man, Eric had it right.
Hey,
I'd be fine with playing the Rams in the Super Bowl.
I mean, I think the Rams are going to win this week against Detroit.
Yeah.
That's
Stafford's
I
motivated.
think they got a shot at it for sure. But I
well,
mean, now that we say it, they're going to get destroyed. Detroit's kind of this dominant, but not. I don't
Oh,
know.
you-
They're kind of hard to figure out.
With that logic,
Yeah.
I just want to say, oh man, the Steelers are going to get destroyed. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me.
Uh-oh,
who
those
do you have
Steelers.
for upsets? I mean, I think realistically we're expecting the Bills to win.
Right.
We're going to expect the Cowboys to win. But like, do you have an upset? Who do you think is gonna?
Well,
I guess we talked about the
wait, who are the?
Browns.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Who are the Eagles playing against?
Buccaneers and
The
Eagles.
Bucks. Oh yeah. So technically, the Buccaneers are a higher rated team, higher seed
Mhm.
because they're. But I think they're the underdogs,
Yeah,
and the Eagles are about as vulnerable as I've ever seen them. So that's a game
yeah,
I'm watching as far
but
as
the Eagles are
potential.
still betting favorites. They're not
Yeah.
Yeah.
really. It wouldn't really be an upset.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say the Rams over Detroit, I think still might be considered an upset that I would
Yeah.
see. And then again, Browns, Texans, I don't know if either of them should be like super favored. Even
Yeah.
Chiefs Dolphins, I don't know. Like if we lose, if I would feel like that was like a huge upset.
No, I don't think it would be. It would be an upset technically because we are favored, but
I would be
Right.
upset.
We would be very upset.
Yeah. Joe would have to jump through a table for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean this is where we really have to figure it out, right? That's where we put our money where our food is.
Our money where our table is.
Yeah.
Um,
All right.
yeah.
So
Another question?
yeah. So if you could choose one team to face, like in the division round, so a team that made the playoffs, if you could choose one of the teams to face, even if it was NFC, I don't care. Who would you pick? I guess who do you think is the worst team in the playoffs, or at least that the Chiefs have the best chance of beating?
I think the Steelers are high up on that list for me. Not because they're not good, but they have a really solid defense. Although you can't, TJ Watt is irreplaceable, right? Like, but their offense has just been so bad and so inconsistent. And so I personally, I feel like we match up really well against them. But that being said, we've struggled against good defenses this year too. But I just feel like they're making the playoffs was good for them, but I think their offense is not going to be strong enough to get them deep into it.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as like facing people, it's like I mean Steelers upset the Bills. That gives us more options too, but I honestly, if for this team to do well, it might have to go through a gauntlet. Like if I'm thinking of like Super Bowl, it might have to like go through some tough teams. Like it might be important that we play the Bills. I think the Bills would actually be a good team for us to face in terms of like getting us ready to play Super Bowl or the Ravens, or one of the other teams. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I would have liked for it to fall differently. I like the Bills not to be in the playoffs at all, but
Yeah. But yeah, if we
the
go
stupid Jaguars and the Dolphins didn't work that out for us.
if we have to beat the Bills and then beat the Ravens, then I feel good about whoever we place after that in the Super Bowl, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's no one that is unbeatable if you beat those two teams to make it there.
Right. Yeah. Chiefs Rams. Let's go.
There you go. So to hear me out, we have the Steelers first of all beat the Bills, and then they beat the Ravens, and then we get to host the championship again.
I'd be down for that.
I love how the start of this was like, who's the worst team? And now the dream is that
The-
team beating two
hey,
of the stronger
hey,
teams.
they could beat. I'd have more confidence in them beating Baltimore than just because it's divisional than
Well,
beating the Bills.
both the Browns and the Steelers beat Baltimore at least once this year.
Right, that's what I'm
So
saying.
yeah,
Yeah, they're
Um,
good for those hard nosed games for sure.
yep.
how do you guys? I think we're all kind of in agreement. But what do you guys think about the Chiefs resting their starters? Obviously, we've had so many struggles the last recently. Like, do you think it would have been like good to play some, or at least play some of it, like a quarter or something? Or do you think it's just good to rest?
I feel like Pacheco had been battling injury, right? To get back.
Mhm.
So I think like in his case, resting is just a good idea. Like I feel like where we are with Rice, Pacheco, and Kelsey is like they haven't all three been healthy at the same time. I guess Rice hasn't really been injured this year, but Pacheco's been out a lot. Kelsey's been battled some injuries. So I think being healthy is probably more important than playing to get playing against an easy team. I don't know. I don't know how that I feel like one quarter of play really does a whole lot for you. But what are your guys'
That's
thoughts?
fair.
Yeah, I think it just gets hard because it's like you're either playing everybody or not playing people. Like once you start like, oh, Pacheco's hurt and then other stuff, then it's like at a certain point you don't want to have anybody there, like Mahomes or anybody out there, because you're sitting everybody that's on the border of healthy. And so I think it's probably just easier to say, hey, everybody's dealing with anything set, and we're just going to play it with whomever's on the field, and we're going to try to get some stuff done. And again, you're helping get people like McCole Hardman more stuff. Like
Yeah.
so, if that's helping him get a little bit more play and maybe can take some snaps or do some different long routes or some other things, then that's probably worth it, even if it's with your backup
Yeah.
quarterback or whatever, who might have to be in there for a quarter or a drive here or there.
Mm,
We've run
Yeah.
into that in the past. And so it's good to, I think it's all around, there's a value in getting your backups practice. And so, and when you're thinking about the starters, it's kind of has to be somewhat all or nothing to a degree, because otherwise you're like, what are you doing anyway? And the team
mhm.
is so bad, like us beating up on the Chargers, I almost don't want that, because then I feel like that gives us a false sense of confidence. Like, oh, we fixed it. Like say we did do well. Like I feel like that might have been even worse for us overall,
Hmm.
because the Chargers ain't the Dolphins.
Plus, it's
Even though the
always just
Dolphins are so
hilarious.
beat up.
Yeah. It's hilarious to beat a team with your backups too. But to like Eric's point too, right? The Dolphins, they lost a lot of people in their game on Sunday. And obviously it was a game they had to, they were trying for the division, which gives them home field. Would have meant they were playing in somewhere where you can't, if you stick your tongue out, it doesn't freeze. So but it just shows, like I even remember when we were one game, was it the Chicago game that we tried to score before we had like a minute before half or something, like or like 45 seconds, and so that they tried to take some shots and Mahomes kind of got his ankle stepped on or something a little bit that time, which is like a reminder to you. It's like, you know, obviously you want to play competitively, but anyone can get hurt at any time, and so you don't want to take that risk sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you guys are probably right. I don't know. It's just, yeah, you're right. Maybe a sense of urgency is what's needed, but it certainly doesn't feel like our offense is clicking yet. So
Yeah. And I get where you're coming from too, because I feel like sometimes like people sitting out, and then they're just, it doesn't necessarily feel like it helped. It feels like people come back rusty.
Yeah.
But
I think, and I think that more is an issue when you go like multiple weeks when you like the Ravens are doing, and the Ravens did previously when it's like you have 2 full weeks,
yeah,
like I
yeah,
mean really 3 weeks because you have a normal week in between and then you have 2 extra weeks.
yeah.
So, um, and the last one, so we know that wolves are supposed to be in packs. Do you think that that's why the Chiefs wolf mascot is so weird because he doesn't have a pack?
I'm guessing someone gave you this question.
No, no.
No?
I was just driving home after spending 2.5 hours out in the cold trying to replace an alternator. And
And you felt like being the wolf banging his head on the field goal post.
Wait,
yeah,
let me ask
yeah.
you it this way, Chris. Do you think he's weird because he doesn't have a pack, or does he not have a pack because he's weird?
Mm, it's a perpetuating cycle.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Because
No,
like
Naomi's question was, and she was obviously joking, was, do you think, what starters do you think we're going to play this week?
uh I didn't see any. So we used to have a lot of like we'd keep like salmon in our freezer. And I was almost gonna bring like, here's a look at the Miami Dolphins this week.
That's so good. That's too good.
But
Yeah. What do you think are some keys for this week against the Dolphins?
um I think if we don't turn over the ball, we'll be fine. I think there's even some wiggle room with that because I mean the Bills turned over 3 times in the red zone. But I think if we don't turn over the ball, I think our defense is better than theirs, uh, and I think their offense is like, don't turn over the ball. And I guess I'll say the other thing is contain the run. Um, but if we can get if we can get a lead on them, that helps take away the run, too. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a big matchup is Sneed versus Hill, or not even really Sneed, because you just have to double Hill. Like, as good as Sneed is, you have to double him. Like, I'm not saying you have to every single play, but 98.7% of plays, you better be doubled.
yeah,
Um, or at
you
least
at
have
least have to
safety
have,
help.
yeah, safety help over the top. Yeah,
So if we can keep him down like we did last time, I think we have a good shot at it. But it is kind of like in a lot of ways, I feel like the Dolphins outplayed us last time we played. We just got that one turnover that resulted in a touchdown. Like, and those things are kind of fluky. They're hard to rely on. So it's, I don't know,
yeah,
it's a pretty big toss up for me.
So I mean, they're pretty beat up. So it's not the same Dolphins team defensive particularly. I've heard there were 7 starters potentially that's out around
yeah.
there on the defensive side.
And they
So that's a
signed
lot
some
of
people. Like,
backups.
yeah, they signed
Um,
Justin Houston,
yeah, they did. They're
but he
like,
hasn't.
who wants to go
Yeah,
after these Chiefs?
yeah.
Yeah,
Pick me.
pick me.
Um,
I will go. Well, he's a little older, so he's like,
yeah.
I will go.
Well, do you think
He's not
like,
that old.
yeah,
I laughed it out talking about how old they are for a football player, and it's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, he's a couple years older than I am, but a few years older.
Do you think too that, I mean, like, obviously one of the best ways we can work to contain Hill is just by getting good pressure quickly,
Hmm.
right? Like if they didn't have time for a play to develop, or, and I don't know if cold weather is favors that more. Like I think it's gonna be harder to throw the ball really deep. I heard Tua said he wasn't gonna wear gloves, so we'll see if that's true or not. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Eric? Does cold weather make the passing game harder?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Passing game is gonna be harder, and that's why I think the game really comes down to the run game. Can we run on the Dolphins? Can we contain the runs? Now, I think the numbers against the run against the Dolphins were a little fluky because it all was one drive. Like it was just a couple runs that
Yeah,
were big, and we contained most. for the most part. And even the Dolphins, like Achan, his numbers are inflated by big long runs. But if you don't
Yeah.
give those up, he's going to have pretty good numbers, but it's not going to be 7.8 run or something like whatever.
Yeah.
Season.
Yeah. And Pacheco can keep up with the best of them. You know,
Right.
nobody runs angry like he does.
Right. And he'll get a few bigger chunks, but he's not home running it.
Yeah.
So if we can stop the home runs, make sure they don't get past the second level, and I think we have the linebackers and secondary to do that. I think we should be okay, and we can pull out the win. But if they get a few, like 100 plus, almost 200, maybe even yards rushing, then I think it's going to be a lot harder for us to win just because of how much time that takes off the clock too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have it. They didn't have Achane. I don't think the last time we played.
That's correct.
So, so we'll see. I mean, he's a little quicker than Mozart, or yeah. Anyway, so we'll see how that all shakes up. But it'll be a challenge because I think they're like number 2 or 3 in rushing yards too.
Yeah.
So,
but like I think their stats in general are a little bit hard to read because they had one of the easiest schedules, and they're 1-4 against teams that are they've only played 5 teams that are above 500 all year.
yeah.
And they're 1-4 against them. So they drove up points against bad teams, and then they lost games against good teams. And they did beat Dallas, but it's just hard for me to say, like, is their offense? I think their offense is explosive, but their stats are not always. They get a lot of yards against bad teams, I guess I would say. But
Well, and
Broncos.
that Broncos,
Yeah.
just it skews the stats so much. One game. I mean, if you looked at like the Broncos defensive stats for the whole season, even though they started playing really well at the end, they were still like terrible because that one game just tanked the
It was like a
totals so
Madden
bad.
game.
I mean, it was like worse than Madden game.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see how it ends. This is the time. So hopefully we'll come back together and rally and win and beat the Chiefs. But you know, even if we don't, it's good to have a team that's always in the playoffs, 11-win team, and I would be surprised if we got to the Super Bowl, much less win it. But you know what? Stranger things have happened. We're still the Chiefs. We still have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. So let's go, starting with Miami, and see what happens from there. Steelers maybe, sweeping.
Yeah.
There you go.
The Bills.
Well, Joel's confidence in Eagles and Chiefs. That's I'm impressed by his optimism.
Well, I'm not quite as sure about the Eagles anymore, to be honest, but I feel good about the Chiefs.
Kelsey Bowl rematch. Kelsey
Yeah.
Bowl rematch.
I would love that for the chance for Jason to lose to Travis again.
Jason will eat the chunky soup